On Friday the 13th of October, 1307, every Knight Templar was arrested, all over France, on the same day, at the same hour. That kind of operation does not happen by accident. Philip IV of France had been planning it for years. He had spies everywhere. He had the warrants written in secret. The charges, heresy, idol worship, denying Christ, none of it was true. But the Templars knew it was coming, and they did nothing. To understand why, you have to go back to the beginning, not the popular version, the real one. The Knights Templar were founded in 1119 by 9 knights. They showed up in Jerusalem and told the king they wanted to protect pilgrims on the road. The king gave them a wing of his palace. It sat on the ruins of Solomon's temple. That is where the name came from. The poor fellow soldiers of the Temple of Solomon. Poor is the word people miss. For the first 9 years, they had almost nothing. They were so short of resources that their seal showed 2 knights sharing 1 horse, and that image became their symbol. That changes fast. By 1129, the church gave them official backing at the Council of Troyes. Bernard of Clairvaux wrote their rule. He was the most powerful religious voice in Europe. His endorsement turned 9 struggling knights into a continent-wide institution almost overnight. Money poured in, land, castles, ships. The Templars controlled hundreds of properties across Europe and the Holy Land. They had their own ports, their own roads, their own legal system. They answered to the Pope alone, not to any king. That last part is what made them dangerous. Now here is the detail that most accounts skip over. The Templars did not just fight, they invented something. Something that still shapes how money moves today. A pilgrim travelling to Jerusalem in 1150 carried gold. Gold was heavy, gold was visible. Bandits knew exactly who to rob. The Templars solved that problem. You deposited your gold at a Templar house in Paris. You received a coded letter. You presented that letter at a Templar house in Jerusalem. You collected an equivalent sum. No gold on the road, no robbery. That system is a letter of credit. It is the direct ancestor of the modern bank transfer. The Templars became bankers to kings, popes and merchants across the known world. Philip IV was one of their biggest debtors. He owed them a fortune he could not repay. If this is the kind of history you are looking for, the version with the details underneath the story, subscribing means the next video comes straight to you. Here is where the story turns. By 1300, the Crusades were failing. The Holy Land was almost entirely lost. The Templars had spent 2 centuries justifying their existence by fighting for Jerusalem. Without Jerusalem, what were they for? Their critics asked that question openly, loudly, rich, powerful, and no longer needed. That made them a target. Philip IV needed money. He had taxed France dry, he had expelled the Jews and seized their assets. He had debased the currency. He was desperate. And there, sitting in Paris, was the wealthiest institution in Europe. Philip moved carefully. He spent years building his case. He accused the Templars of heresy, of worshipping an idol of Baphomet, spitting on the cross during initiation rites. But Philip had a problem. The Templars answered to the Pope, not to him, so he replaced the Pope. In 1305, Philip engineered the election of a French Pope, Clement V. Clement moved the entire papacy from Rome to Avignon in France, under French influence. Philip now had the Pope, and he had the accusations. On 12th of October 1307, the sealed orders went out all over France. The next morning, the arrests began. The Grand Master of the order was Jacques de Molay. He was 63 years old. He had led the Templars for over a decade. He had been warned. Multiple sources told him Philip was coming. But why did de Molay not try to escape rather than stay in Paris? Here is the answer historians have argued over for 7 centuries. De Molay believed the Pope would protect the order. He had the Pope's assurance. He trusted the institution more than the warning. That trust destroyed him. Under torture, Templar after Templar confessed to the charges. De Molay confessed. he later recanted. The confession was extracted by Payne. It did not matter. Now, here is where the standard account says the story ends. The Templars were destroyed. Philip got their assets. The Pope dissolved the order in 1312. De Molay was burned at the stake in 1314. Philip won, except he did not get what he came for. The Templar treasure was never found. Philip expected to seize the full wealth of the order, enough to clear his debts, enough to fund his wars. The records show the Paris treasury was largely empty when his men arrived. Someone had moved it. The Templar fleet, 18 ships docked at La Rochelle, was gone by the time Philip's men reached the port. They sailed on the night before the arrests. No one knows where. Ships, treasury, archive, gone. Scotland is one answer historians keep returning to. Robert the Bruce had been excommunicated. Papal authority meant nothing there. Templars fleeing France needed somewhere that Rome could not reach. Some researchers point to Argyll, to Rochelle, to Kilmartin Glen, where a cluster of graves show Templar burial markers. None of it is proven, all of it is possible. But here is the harder question. Not where the treasure went, but who gave the order to move it? And when did they know the arrests were coming? Philip spent the rest of his life trying to answer that. He never did. De Molay burned on a small island in the Seine on the 18th of March, 1314. He recanted his confession. He was innocent. He said so from the flames. He named the Pope as guilty. He named Philip as guilty. He burned facing Notre Dame Cathedral. Within a year, Clement was dead. 7 months later, so was Philip. Both dead within the year, both following de Molay's curse. Coincidence? Almost certainly. But the timing unsettled the whole of France. The Templars were gone, but the questions they left behind did not go away. The banking system they built became the foundation of European finance. The letter of credit they created is still in use today. The network they established across Europe did not simply vanish. It reorganized. The story of who the Templars really were. Hard-pressed soldiers sharing a horse, brilliant financial engineers, political targets of a desperate king, is more strange than the myths that replace them. And the fleet that left La Rochelle on the night of the 12th of October 1307. 18 ships, loaded with something worth hiding, sailing into the dark. We still do not know where they went. If you want to follow that question further, the full investigation is at Histories and Castles, link below. It goes directly into the financial network the Templars built, and the evidence for where the inner core of the order may have ended up. Every video here takes a story you think you know and finds the part that got left out. One story, one surprising truth, and the details that change how you see it. If that sounds like your kind of history, subscribe and the next one will find you.